It's a wonderful Monday again, as always. It's a delight to be here on the program. Thank you for joining us on ITV. This is Law and You, who are in Benin City, Nigeria. I'm Uyi Agumofwegbe. Now let's look at one issue that has raised so much of dust this past few weeks, especially in the last couple of days. First, let's put on record that NBA, that's the National Nigerian Bar Association, has this a conference every other year. It's an annual general conference of the NBA. It's one conference that brings lawyers together in large numbers. One of the biggest gatherings of lawyers across the world, we are told it is every other year in this country. But then the conversation, or at least one of the many conversations that changes this one, is the list of those who had been lined up to be guest speakers during this event. One of them being the governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai. Of course, we understand that people like former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo and the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, had also been scheduled to speak at this conference. The question is, what makes the issue of Governor Nasir El-Rufai different as far as this NBA conference is concerned, to the point that the invitation that had been extended to him was at a point withdrawn? And that's raised so much of dust. What were the issues? Well, we're told by some reports that allegations, very weighty allegations, had been leveled against the governor. And on account of those allegations, the leadership of the NBA, particularly the committee in charge of this year's conference, thought it wise to recall, as it were, that invitation that had been given to him. A lot of persons say, look, this development has again, as it were, brought the religious and ethnic lines back into the conversation. Because they are saying, if you're stopping Governor Nasir El-Rufai from attending for whatever reason, you should also extend that same, by that same token, you should withdraw the invitations that had been sent to persons like the former President, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, and Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. What is the import of this development, even though we understand that an apology had been sent out to the governor of Kaduna State? I'm joined by someone who will help us create perspective and then make sense of this development. Stay with us. I'm joined by Barrister David Maduko. He's former Secretary, NBA Benin Branch. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the program.
Thank you, Uyi. Thank you.
I know, as a lawyer, practicing lawyer for that matter, you're concerned about all of these developments. You get excited about your annual general conference every other year.
Definitely.
But this year isn't the same as the last few years we've seen.
Yes, this year is unique because the first time we are, all over the world, we are all going virtual now.
Right.
So it's the first time we're having a virtual annual general conference. It portends of some excitement. We also know that, of course, there will be some lapses here and there because it's the first time we are doing it. So it's expected. But by and large, we're all looking up to it. I was in one of the sessions before I came here now. Okay. By and large, it was, I was looking at the session again, and I think by and large, it was a huge success.
I mean, if you look at NBA, the annual general conference of the NBA every year, it will appear it's almost a tradition to have a speaker say something that raises very significant national conversation.
Definitely.
The other time, that was 2 years ago, I'm sure, it was the president who had said there are instances where you have to, as it were, give prominence or preeminence to national security as against the rule of law. Yeah. That became a bit controversial again.
It caused a lot of...
exactly. Lawyers were talking about it. It became a talking point, basically. This time, it's the governor of Kaduna State that's right in the eye of the storm. You want to talk to us about that development?
Well, I don't know why it will be a storm. I mean, I tell you, Uyi, come to my house on Friday to have lunch.
Okay.
And I call you before then and say, Uyi, I'm sorry.
Voluntarily?
Voluntarily. And I say, Uyi, I'm sorry, you can't have lunch in my house again, maybe till some other time. So why would that cause controversy?
But what if you're cancelling on me on account of maybe what someone else has come to tell you about me?
Now, you see, people should understand and appreciate the situation.
Yes.
For what it is. Because I see a lot of misconception. And
including amongst lawyers like yourself?
Yes, unfortunately.
Yes.
But more with
non-lawyers.
Non-lawyers. Now, the truth is this. The NBA has governing and regulatory bodies.
Okay.
The elected officers are there to steer the course of leadership. And we have what we call the National Executive Committee. The National Executive Committee is the highest decision-making body of the NBA, second only to the Annual General Conference. You understand me? So they make policies and rules for the governing of the body as an association. You also have the body of benchers.
All right.
You have the Council of Legal Education. You have the board of trustees. The NBA has a board of trustees. So we have governing and regulatory bodies. Now, what actually happened? I see some people mixing it up, the story up, that the NBA gave an invitation and withdrew it. Yes, the Technical Committee on Conference Planning initially penciled down Malam Nasser El-Rufai's name for an invite for the conference. But we have what we call pre-conference NEC meeting.
Okay.
Yes, the National Executive Committee. I'm a member of the NEC, National Executive Committee. And, there's a meeting we do before the conference. So it's a pre-conference NEC. And in that meeting, the issue of the invitation of Malam Nasser El-Rufai was tabled down as an issue to be deliberated on. And it was thrown open, and there was brainstorming on it. And it was voted on. So the decision emanated from NEC that, look, this man, we don't feel comfortable to invite him at this time. One, for the issues of his disregard for court orders and the rule of law, and two, with the present killings in his state and his attitude towards the issue. And the NEC made that decision and mandated the committee to communicate to him about disinviting him for the conference. It is not the committee that initially made the decision to invite him, that unilaterally on their own. No, they were mandated.
It was a directive. It
was a directive that they followed. So people should get the story correctly. It was a decision. And now, you see, I hear about the issue of people saying, well, people, if you are basing it on issue of rule of law, on the issue of maintaining law and order and all that, what about the issue of the issue of inviting former President Obasanjo? He has also had some records of not complying with court orders and all that.
Some alleged human rights.
Some alleged human rights infringements and all that. They also mentioned Governor Wike
of Rivers
State and all that. And you see, when I hear lawyers talk like that, I get very sad. Because it's like you are having a meeting and you say you have an agenda. You listed some issues on an agenda. And you see, when you are in that meeting and you deliberate on those issues on the agenda, you exhaust them and you take decisions on them. It's different from when you go to the court of public opinion or the social media, as it were, and you now start vituperating on those points. So when lawyers talk like that, I'm let down. The issue of invitation of Malam El-Rufai was listed as an issue deliberated upon and voted upon. And decision was taken to disinvite him. The issue of Obasanjo was not listed, was not discussed. The issue of Wike was not listed, was not discussed. So no matter what the fire you put in social media or talk here, you will have done the right thing to go and get it listed in the NEC meeting. You didn't do that. Now the other option left for you now is in this conference now to come to the annual general conference and try and introduce as a topic, and say, look, this issue, what has been done, but for future purposes, let's do it this way. None of them have done that.
There's the fact that an apology has been tendered to Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasser El-Rufai, by the outgoing president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Isn't that some implied admission of wrongdoing? I mean, given the impression that could have created.
The respected Silk, the outgoing president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Paul Usoro, perfect gentleman, in his own, normal demeanor, He's a gentleman to the core. He felt that probably from all the hula baloo, and rightly so anyway, that some form of embarrassment had been caused to the person of the governor of Kaduna State, Madam El-Rufai. And in that regard, he, apologized to him. Some persons have disagreed with him on that. I would not have done that if I were the one, because it's a decision of neck.
Okay.
And, but being a gentleman, he tried, and I think he also wrote to the Muslim Lawyers Association too, of Nigeria, also
to pacify them.
Yeah, well, so to speak. Yeah, and that should not be misconstrued. That should not be, misread. He is not apologizing to say, sorry about it.
What we did was wrong.
What we did was wrong. He's only apologizing to say, okay, the confusion, the embarrassment that we did not foresee,
or whatever change of plans may have cost you.
It may have cost you. That is normal. People blow things out of proportion in this country. That is normal for any gentleman to do. And I think he's not out of context, and it's not out of order for him to do that. He has done that in his own, wisdom, and we should leave it at that. There are a lot of other persons, like I said, including myself. If I were to be him, I wouldn't have done that.
Okay, if you were in his shoes, you wouldn't have felt that was necessary.
That was not necessary.
You already mentioned the Muslim Lawyers Association.
Yes.
Which, of course, by extension, is a part of the NBA, because every practicing lawyer in this country belongs to the NBA.
Exactly.
Doesn't these developments create factions within the NBA? Because you already have the Muslim Lawyers Association taking a different position from that of the NBA overall. There's already some conflicts within the ranks of the NBA.
Unfortunately so, yes, my brother. Unfortunately so. Personally, we are going into issues of ethno-religious issues now.
Yes.
If you ask for my personal view, we have the Class Fund, Christian Lawyers Association, Fellowship of Nigeria, something like that. You also have the Christian Lawyers Association. You have the Muslim lawyers. If you ask me, I really don't see the need for those bodies within the larger body of the NBA.
All right.
It's my opinion. Both the Christians, I don't see the need for it. The NBA as an association should also lead by example.
Okay.
And I think we should de-emphasize to a great extent on these issues of ethnic affiliations, religious affiliations, tribal affiliation. We are having that more now in the NBA. I think to a large extent we should try and de-emphasize it. The NBA has been one body over the years that has come on very strong. It has stood for the rule of law.
All right.
And it has been united. We had some issues during the time of our past president, Mrs. Priscilla Koye, where we had an interregnum after our presidency. After that period, we came back again in a cohesive manner, stronger. The issues of the fallout of the present election, there are some dissenting parties that are also talking the way of disintegrating the association, forming their own and all that. I see no reason why we should get to that point, but of course they are free to exercise their views and whatever they feel is right. At the end of the day, I think it will be better to come to a round table, sit down. There's always a way out from every situation. The NBA has been a strong association for years that stood for the rule of law. Unfortunately, like you mentioned, President and Commander-in-Chief, I think in 2018, in the opening ceremony of the conference too, made a remark on national security being over and above the rule of law, to which a lot of us disagreed immediately. Unfortunately, standing on the strength and the premise of that statement, a lot of things have happened in the country. We have seen where George's house were broken into in the dead of night in a Gestapo-style manner. Judges were arrested, prosecuted. But to date, I keep asking one question: what came out from all that? We have also seen security agencies take on the judiciary in very, very unsavory manners, based on that single statement that national security is greater than the rule of law. With all due respect, I think when you go to more civilized climes, you will not hear statements like that.
The deposed Emir of Kano and former CBN Governor, Lamido Sanusi, he had visited the Kaduna State Governor.
Yes.
And one of the things he said regarding this withdrawal of invitation is that the NBA, the leadership of the NBA, that is, could have used this conference as a medium to engage the governor of Kaduna State on the issues of insecurity and killings in his states, giving him the NBA, the conference platform to leverage, as against altogether withdrawing the invitation sent to him. Wouldn't that have been smarter?
It depends on your point of view. It's perception, how you look at it. With all due respect to the deposed emir, that is his perception, and I think a lot of people will agree with him. But you see, it depends on how you look at the situation. I'll give you an example. In 2007, Professor Morris, who was the chairman of the Electoral Commission, and they just finished conducting the general elections, the NBA was to hold this conference, and he was penciled down as an invitee. During all the course of that period, Malam Musa Yar'Adua, who turned out to become the president, made a statement that, look, even the process that brought me in was flawed.
Right.
And he's going to make all the effort
to sanitize the electoral process.
The process. On the strength of that, the NBA withdrew its invitation to Madam Morisiwu. The heavens did not fall. They withdrew it. They didn't give him an opportunity to come and speak for himself.
Because he conducted that election.
Yes, because he was at the helm of affairs.
Yeah.
You understand? Another one, the American Bar Association, some years ago, invited Frederick W. de Klerk, who was the former president of South Africa during the apartheid regime, to come to its conference. If you recall, Frederick W. de Klerk also had the Nobel Prize shared with the late Nelson Mandela.
Right.
And a man of that stature. But when the uproar came, when the protests, the agitations came from the American Bar Association, from the members, and no, this man superintended over an apartheid regime. We can't be seen inviting him. The invitation was withdrawn. He was disinvited. The heavens did not fall. So when I tell you that it's a matter of perception, the way you see it, the way you perceive it, the disinvitation of Madam El-Rufai, with all due respect, has had so many ethnic and religious angles put into it that was not there at all. All the message the bar wanted to pass to him, and I think it has been rightly passed, although it came with some embarrassment and all that, is that, look, you could do better in your state.
As a governor.
As a governor. We are not happy with how you are doing now. And do not forget, he also, as an individual, as a free citizen of the Federal Republic, has a right to also, he could have also conducted a press conference and explained his own...
State his own position.
His own position. Nobody has stopped him from doing that. And state his own position. And probably from that press conference, we will have an insight into his own side of things. And maybe, just maybe, the NBA might resign, and for the next conference, if he's still there, God keeping us alive, and call him, please, we're impressed with what you explained. So the way we are boxing ourselves into a corner and looking at this issue as if it's a do or die. No. A man has a right to invite you and say, no, I changed my mind. Sorry, I don't want to invite you.
I want to take a break at this point, everyone. When we return, we'll be talking about the implications of this development and going forward, what can be done to do some level of damage control. Stay with me. We appreciate you staying with us on the program. Let's wrap it up quickly. I need to ask you this just before we go now. This issue of inviting and, to use the word, disinviting, has deepened and expanded the conversation about our national life in this country.
Correct.
What do you see as ramifications going forward?
Well, going forward, I would ask that the NBA continue to be what it is, a pressure group, a watchdog organization on the society, and an organization that continues to maintain the rule of law. They should be fearless, they should be brave, and should have the ability to speak truth to power. To me, This is one of the occasions the NBA has spoken truth to power.
But not without a price.
Well, you must have a price for everything in life. Life itself has a price. So, going forward, I would say there are a lot of things wrong with leadership in Nigeria. The NBA as an association is there to checkmate on these issues. The NBA itself may need some internal cleansing itself.
Okay.
You know,
because he who comes to equity must
come with clean hands.
Right.
So they need to clean themselves and also live up to the expectation and act their role as a watchdog of the society. What they've done in Malam Nasser El-Rufai's case, no matter how unfortunate it is something that ought to be done and was done. And they should stick to their guns when they do such things. They should also go further and look into the presidency. Yes, the legislature. There are a lot of things wrong with our government. And the NBA, as a pressure group, should act and sit up to its responsibility.
You're an insider as far as the ESCO of the NBA is concerned. What are the lessons they must be learning now? Not just about the governor of Kaduna State, but about everything as far as this country is concerned. Lawyers are believed to be above board in many ways, for example. Would you say the NBA is disappointing on some level right now?
Well, they may not be acting up to optimal level. There's a lot of room for improvement. But I think they are doing their best. And do not forget that somehow we are having a paradigm shift. The leadership is coming to the younger generation.
Okay.
And it is time that they should discharge the onerous responsibility on them. In the local branch in Benin here, if you check all the people, we are about to have our elections. If you check all the people that are, you know, going, they are younger and younger.
So it seems to get younger every year.
So it seems to get younger every year. Our new president-elect, Mr. Olumide Akpata, another very, very fine and refined gentleman with very, very stellar qualities, you will find that he's from our generation. He's from the younger generation. And there's a lot of expectations placed on him. We are looking up to him that he's going to deliver good leadership. I know he will do so because I was an integral part of his campaign team. I know he's going to deliver good leadership for us. So once we get this good leadership, we have this fearless ability to speak truth to power and to correct the ills in society. I think we will have a better society for all of us.
That's what we're looking forward to. I mean, ultimately, better society. And from what Barrister Madiko has said so far, the NBA has a very pivotal and influential role to play in that very taxing project. So going forward, one of the things we must learn is the fact that leadership is the centrality of all of this discussion that we've had on the program today. Barrister David Madiko, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
On the program. We are done with this week's edition of the program. I'm Uyi Agmofwegwe, thanking you very specially for being a part of it. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.